We're going to be talking about rhetorical synthesis questions. This is a really important one to learn. They're worth 85 points on the SAT, so it's one of the biggest concepts on the whole test. So here's our approach on how we'll do it today. First, we're going to be able to identify rhetorical synthesis questions. This is helpful because you're able to know what the question looks like and when to utilize this method we're going to learn. Next, we're going to break down how to do this question, and we're going to build a formula to solve the rhetorical synthesis questions, and then we'll solve a practice question together. So, how to identify these questions. All rhetorical synthesis questions have a list of bullet points, and they're the only questions on the reading section. They're going to have bullet points. So this is actually like the easiest one to identify, and they're always near the end of the reading module as well. Here's how to do rhetorical synthesis questions. We're going to use this formula every time. Think of this formula just how you'd think of the formula for the area of a triangle. This will always work. So first, we'll find the person's goal. We're going to find the bullet points that help with that goal, and then we're going to find the answer that accomplishes the person's goal. And this might not make perfect sense right now, but once we look at a question, we'll apply it and you'll understand. So here's an actual rhetorical synthesis question. Notice how I said there's bullet points, and this is how you can easily identify these questions every time. And there's some of the longest questions on the test, but once we use our formula, it's pretty easy. So first, step one, we're going to find the person's goal. When we're doing this, it's actually not in the bullet points, as these are facts. We skip the bullet points and start here. The student wants. So the first sentence after the bullet points is where we're looking every time. The student wants to present the study's findings and its methodology. So the student wants two things. Their goal is to present the study's findings and the study's methodology. Okay, so we're going to keep that in mind, and we're going to go back to the bullet points now with step two. Find the bullet points that help with that goal. So keeping in mind the study's findings and its methodology. First bullet point. Scientists have developed an inverse vaccine that may calm immune responses in autoimmune disorders. So this is not actually talking about the study at the end of the day. This is essentially just giving some basic information. We don't need to know this, as it's not talking about the study's findings or its methodology. So next one. Dr. Sarah Chen, an immunologist, was intrigued by how this vaccine worked differently from traditional vaccines. So once again, so this is probably why she wants to do this study, but this isn't actually helping us with the study's findings or the methodology of the study. Next one. Dr. Chen conducted a study by attaching self-antigens to nanoparticles designed to target the liver in mice. Okay, beautiful. So this is saying the methodology. This is saying how this study was done. So we're going to keep track of this bullet point after ignoring the first two. The nanoparticles successfully delivered the self-antigens to the liver, where local immune cells interacted with them. Okay, so this is saying what happened in the study, and this is like essentially the findings of the study as what happened in it. So this is also useful information, so we're going to keep these two so far. The final one. Results showed that this method reduced autoimmune responses by 75% in treated mice compared to untreated mice. So once again, this is really helpful information. A huge hint is the word results. Obviously, it's going to talk about the findings, and it's saying the findings were that it reduced autoimmune responses by 75% in treated versus untreated. Great. So now that we're going to talk about this, so we have these three that we're going to keep. Right here. And considering these three, I'm a little suspect on the second one. I don't know if we'll really need it because it's essentially saying what was happening during the study, but we'll keep it just in case. And we'll go from there. So now we can go to step three. We're going to find the answer that accomplishes the person's goal. So the person's goal, talking about the study and its methodology. Great, we'll go from there. So, a study found that inverse vaccines, which may calm immune responses in autoimmune disorders, can reduce autoimmune responses by 75% in mice. Okay, this is the findings. This is what happens after the study. It's the findings of the study, but we're missing the methodology, how the study was done. So this is not the correct answer. B, using nanoparticles allows for precise control of where self-antigens are delivered. So once again, using nanoparticles allows for precise control of where self-antigens are delivered. This speaks partially to the methodology, how it was done, not even that much, but it for sure doesn't talk about the study's findings, so we can eliminate B too. Now we go to C. Dr. Sarah Chen studied how self-antigens in mice reduce autoimmune response and discovered they could reduce it by 75%. So this is great. This is essentially the exact finding. This is what happened. But we're missing the methodology once again. We need to understand why it happened. We're looking for these parts right here, talking about how the study was done, and that's not in this one. We go to D now. By attaching self-antigens to nanoparticles designed to target the liver in mice, okay, this is a good start. This is the methodology. This is how it was done. Dr. Sarah Chen discovered that this method could significantly reduce autoimmune responses. Great. So this both talks about the methodology and then it talks about the findings. This is the answer now, so there you go. D is the correct answer. This formula will work every single time in these questions, so don't get distracted trying to remember things from all the bullet points. First, understand students' actual goals, or the researchers or whoever it is in the question, and then look for the bullet points that actually relate to that. This is a way to eliminate a lot of useless information. So one more time, we'll go through it. Step 1, find the person's goal. Step 2, read the information and find the bullet points that help with that goal. Step 3, find the answer that accomplishes the person's goal. So apply this formula when you're using these questions. You can find it on our site if you click on the concept right above the question, if it's a rhetorical synthesis question.